Hey, but it's hard. It's really hard. But here's the thing, the more you beat it, the better it gets, just like bread. The more you knead it, the more it rises, right? Oh, I can't even tell you. But anyway, smash that like button. Let me tell you something. Flávio Bolsonaro is so desperate, but so desperate that he already changed his campaign strategist. And his campaign strategist said he needs to drop Bolsonaro from his name. Hey, Andre, but what do you mean? Yeah, it's Flávio Bolsonaro. So he's going to drop Bolsonaro and just go by Flávio. Ha 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 ha. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. That's right. Flávio's new campaign strategist dropped Bolsonaro from his name and created a new slogan to see if Flávio improves, right? But how can he improve? Does a criminal improve? It's hard to improve, right, guys? Look here, Tico Tico. Oh my God. Flávio Bolsonaro's new campaign strategist drops Bolsonaro from his name and creates a new slogan. Oh my God. No one can save it. Duda Lima, who took over the campaign's communications just 11 days ago, is the third person to run the campaign messaging for Bolsonaro's son after successive crises. So he's the third campaign strategist. Not even a campaign strategist can save Flávio Bolsonaro, guys. Not even a marketer. And look at his slogan. The slogan. He put up the new slogan. Look at the slogan. Brazil will win. It should be incorporated into the official campaign materials. In materials that circulate internally within the PL, the candidate appears only as Flávio. They removed Bolsonaro. The last name Bolsonaro is left out. And the new slogan, Brazil. Brazil will win. Win what? Brazil has already won. In 2022, Brazil won. Bolsonaro went to the dustbin of history. Lula was elected. Bolsonaro was so bad that he couldn't even get re-elected. So Brazil has already won. Yes, love has returned. Now, what is Flávio going to win? What? Bye, no, I won't. He's trying to convince people who aren't already up to their necks with Daniel Borcaro's mafia, and he doesn't explain what he's been doing. So, if someone is going to win, who is it going to be? Write it down, please. Don't let me talk by myself. Don't let me talk by myself. Write it down, Lula Tetra, for God's sake, as my grandmother used to say. Lula Tetra. And Flávio won't even be able to find his way home. And what do I think? I think that's not enough, my dear. But there's more. There are more situations here that we're going to see. The Bolsonaro family, part of the Bolsonaro family, will still have to answer for other crimes. Look at what the foreign minister, diplomat Mauro Vieira said. Look here. The chancellor said that the Bolsonaro family should be held legally accountable for high treason and links the clan to sanctions against Brazil. Was the chancellor wrong? The chancellor was not wrong. There is still a debt that the Bolsonaro family is making that debt even bigger. And that when Flávio Bolsonaro loses so badly he can't even find his way home, the Bolsonaro family will be held accountable for this debt. I said it on the live stream today, on today's video, that Flávio cried this weekend, right? And said that this situation is going to end. He posted a picture of Bolsonaro handing over the presidential sash to him. Only if he stages a coup. Because he can't beat Lula. So what we really need to worry about is the interference of the United States here. But Flávio won't beat Lula in the election. And Flávio knows that if he doesn't take down Lula, he'll go to jail. Yeah, Bolsonaro is already in jail. He's going to jail. And Eduardo Bolsonaro is also going to jail for high treason against the country. Eduardo Bolsonaro is in the last minute of overtime. The deadline for appeal at the federal Supreme Court is almost up, and soon his first conviction will become final. Soon, officially, he will be a fugitive from Brazilian justice, and he won't be able to leave the United States because if he goes to any other country, he will be arrested at the airport. Yeah. In every airport, there's an area by immigration you have to walk through that looks like a corridor. Do you know what that is? That place is full of cameras and facial recognition. That's why in that area, you can't go through wearing a cap, a hat, or anything like that. Why? Because at that moment, in that corridor, which is purposely made for you to walk through, facial recognition is done. And anyone who has a court order and arrest warrant is detected right there, and the person is arrested inside the airport. And Eduardo Bolsonaro soon won't be able to leave the United States, just like Alexandra Ramage and others who are fugitives there. And the Bolsonaro family, especially Flávio Bolsonaro, Eduardo Bolsonaro and Alexandre Ramage will be held accountable for high treason, just like Bolsonaro himself. As Lula's own foreign minister, the career diplomat Mauro Vieira said, they have to answer for high treason. It's not just about the tariff issue, no. There's also the issue that they're inciting. They're trying to push those weak and fascist ideas of Donald Trump, that Brazil should be attacked and invaded and that Lula should be arrested. Why? Because with electronic voting machines, they can't beat Lula. And the Bolsonaro family knows that as soon as Flávio loses, soon there won't be anyone left out of jail. Everyone will be held accountable. Now, of course, if Flávio wins, God forbid, in the name of Jesus, get out, devil, he will stage the coup. He will tie the hands of the Supreme Federal Court. He will manipulate the Prosecutor General's office and do whatever he wants. So the only path they have is radicalization and a coup. Why? Because the path of justice, the path of the Constitution, means prison for all of them, for high treason. As Chancellor Mauro Vieira himself said, which I just showed you. Look at what he said here. Hey, pay attention here. In what he said more specifically, Chancellor Mauro Vieira, I'll make it bigger because this thing is hard to see here. Even making it bigger is hard today. The Brazilian Chancellor, Mauro Vieira, stated that members of the Bolsonaro family should be held accountable for high treason and offenses against the nation by accusing them of acting abroad in favor of measures that, according to him, led to and produced economic and diplomatic consequences against Brazil itself. The statement was made this Sunday. Vieira attributed to the Bolsonaros the responsibility for the political maneuvering that preceded sanctions and pressure from the United States. They are responsible for the campaign that led to the sanctions and caused suffering to business owners, capitalists, public servants, and workers who are losing their jobs, said Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira. And I ask you, is Mauro Vieira wrong? He is not. The ones who are wrong here, the bums and the ones who are wrong here are the traitors to the country. And then they still say they're patriots. Can you believe it, or do you want more? It's absurd. Let's keep going here. Have you liked the live stream yet, guys? Like the live stream, my dear. There was a survey that said that Lula gained ground after that dirty trick of Javier Milei's support for Flávio Bolsonaro. Javier Milei, president of Argentina. Argentina is in total chaos. Argentina is in chaos. Unemployment, hunger, chaos in healthcare and education. Workers there are being treated as if they're under the lash thanks to the labor reform that Javier Milei made. It's total chaos. We're eating donkey meat there because we can't afford to buy beef. Then Javier Milei, he was here in Brazil to declare his support for Flávio Bolsonaro, and the two of them with those ridiculous dances. Ridiculous. That's for crazy people who don't think. And to join in the dance, not a chance. Those dim-witted Bolsonaristas. Then there was a perspective that this takes votes away from Flávio. The support from Javier Milei takes votes away from Flávio. Look here. I'll make it bigger, guys. Make it bigger, Andre. For God's sake. See? It's too small. Support for Milei and Flávio Bolsonaro increases the chances of voting for Lula. That's what the Quest Research Institute points out. The Argentine president declared support for Bolsonaro's son during the PL party convention held in July. And this results in more votes for Lula and fewer votes for Javier Milei. Look at what it says here. The support of the president of Argentina, Javier Milei, for Flávio Bolsonaro's presidential candidacy increases the likelihood of voting for Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, according to the Quest survey. For 34% of Brazilians, this data is part of a new record from the Genial Quest survey released last week. So there's really nowhere to run. There's nowhere to run. Those who support Flávio Bolsonaro, Flávio is so lacking in support that he's taking support from anyone, just to give the impression that he's getting support. But this support, for example, from Javier Milei is actually taking votes away from him. Then I remember his running mate, right? He chose a running mate just to fill the spot because he had to say, but most likely his running mate is so bad that he won't even end up being his running mate. He can choose another one or someone else until the 15th. And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens and if he's pressuring Michel for that. That's how bad his running mate is, Alfredo Gaspar, who is suspected of rape and is also suspected of misappropriating parliamentary earmark funds. So I don't doubt it. But why does he need that? To sweet talk his supporters into thinking he has backing for this situation. Meanwhile, Vota is big Brazil. They're going to unite me and my wife. Meanwhile, Daniel Biakis took over the defense of Daniel Borcaro alongside Sergio Leonardo, and he requested a meeting with Minister Andre Mendonça. He is the justice overseeing the case at the Supreme Federal Court. The new strategy may include resuming plea bargain negotiations, which have already been refused at least twice. Borcaro changes his lawyer, requests a meeting with Mendonça, and is considering resuming negotiations for a plea bargain. What kind of plea bargain is this, guys? What kind of nonsense is this? Daniel Borcaro already presented a plea bargain, and it wasn't accepted by either the police or the Attorney General. He presented a second plea bargain, which also wasn't accepted by either the federal police or the Attorney General. Now he changes lawyers and goes to Andre Mendonça to ask for the possibility of a new plea bargain. Which of his plea bargains is going to count? Any of them at all? It'll actually be interesting. The police didn't accept his first two plea bargains, and the Attorney General's office didn't accept them either, right? For this third plea bargain to count, he's going to have to turn in the big bosses, like Flávio Bolsonaro. And if he does that, guess who won't accept the plea bargain? You got it. That's right. Andre Mendonça won't accept the plea bargain. So you know what this guy is doing? He's stalling. He's trying to buy time, but he's in jail. He's going to get screwed. Because while he's trying to buy time and stall, the federal police are investigating more and more. Now we have to keep an eye on Andre Mendonça. Because, guys, what explains this, for God's sake? Fabio Lulinha has already had all his records opened up, bank, tax, and electronic communications records all accessed. Fabio, son of Lula. What justifies that? And so far, Flávio Bolsonaro hasn't had any of his records opened up, not even his confidential records, nothing. And look, the audio demanding millions from Daniel Vocaro wasn't from Lulinha, no. It was from Flávio and Bolsonaro. And so far, neither Flávio nor Bolsonaro has been the target of a search and seizure. They've already destroyed all the evidence. They've already hidden everything where no one will ever find it. They've already burned it all. None of the records were opened up. Nothing. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. So like Andre Mendonça, for me, it seems like he's shielding Flávio and trying to take advantage of this Lulinha issue in Flávio's favor. Every year, when Lula runs for office, they bring up the Lulinha story again. Then after the elections are over, they file everything away for lack of evidence. You can look it up. You can check the rulings in the election case. It's the same story every time. But now we have something new. Flávio Bolsonaro is in deep trouble now. And Andre Mendonça does nothing. He's just standing there drooling and does nothing, nothing, nothing. So it's very suspicious. I think it's suspicious. Don't you think so? I think it's suspicious. I don't know. We have to keep an eye on Andre Mendonça. Is there something fishy going on here, or is there nothing going on? I think there is, and it's a whole lot and some big players, right? Meanwhile, the federal police are investigating. They're looking for evidence. They're uncovering a lot of things. They're investigating, gathering information. Daniel Borcaro's cell phones, up until then, there were 9 cell phones. The federal police were on the second phone, and the federal police are finding a lot of conversations. And the possible involvement of another minister from Bolsonaro's administration. Look, a new minister from Bolsonaro's administration, who? Bolsonaro's communication minister. We already have Flávio Bolsonaro himself caught up in Daniel Borcaro's mafia mess, who hasn't explained anything so far. He hasn't been accountable, hasn't explained anything. That's why we say he might be involved, because he said he would account for it. It's been 90 days and he hasn't accounted for the movie, for Patavina, for the 61 million. Where did the money go? Nothing, nothing. When they ask him, Lulinha, Lulinha, then Lulinha, the baby, doesn't say anything. He's shameless. He lies without batting an eye. So what happens? We already have Campos Neto, former president of the central bank under Bolsonaro, who authorized Banco Master to operate as Banco Master. We have Bolsonaro's former Minister of Culture, Mario Frias, who is the general director, the executive director of the film Pangaré, Darks Pangaré. Right? Which was Bolsonaro's 61 million Bolsonaro's film. Daniel's masters, who haven't accounted for it yet, so I don't know if it was. And what happened? We know they say it went to Texas. Where exactly Eduardo Bolsonaro lives? We have the ministers Lorenzoni and João Roma, who authorized Banco Master to have access to the pensioners and retirees' accounts from INSS, where Master also committed fraud. Thousands of people, stole from thousands of people. We have Ciro Nogueira, former chief of staff under Bolsonaro, who was also targeted in a federal police search and seizure operation and might be in trouble along with Daniel Borcaro in the mafia. Former minister under Bolsonaro as well. And now we have the former minister of communications under Bolsonaro. Look here, okay. Make it big, guys, make it big, make it big. Messages from the federal police show Fabio Faria as a bridge between Vorcaro and Alcolumbre. Hey, Andre, yeah, so what's up? Or E. Another minister from Bolsonaro, minister of the Casa. This is the minister of communication. He was a former minister. He was Bolsonaro's minister of communication. And from the conversations the federal police are uncovering, he was the link between Daniel Volcaro and Davi Alcolumbre, the current president of the Federal Senate. There's even a conversation where he asks if Asken, the gastronaut from Switzerland, was going to be at the party at Bacchanal. Yeah. So it seems like he was the one making those connections. As if he were Daniel Volcaro's agent. Bringing and establishing communication between Daniel Volcaro and federal deputies and senators. Who? Bolsonaro's former minister. Bolsonaro. Then we stop to think, right? Who was the one who received the money? From Daniel Volcaro's right-hand man during the campaign? Bolsonaro. We can't forget that, because to me, one thing is connected to the other. Bolsonaro had the biggest donor to his electoral campaign in 2022. In other words, the person who donated was the biggest donor to Bolsonaro's campaign. Wanted Bolsonaro to be re-elected president of the republic. Who, Andre? Fabiano Zettel. Fabiano Zettel is under arrest. Just like Daniel Volcaro is under arrest. And Fabiano Zettel, Daniel Volcaro's brother-in-law and right-hand man, was the main donor to Bolsonaro's campaign. He is even Daniel Volcaro's brother-in-law. He donated $3 million to help Bolsonaro get re-elected as president of the republic. What was the interest of the master group? Especially since their main financial agent, who was Fabiano Zettel, donated $3 million to Bolsonaro's campaign. What was their interest? That Bolsonaro would be re-elected. Then you see all these ministers who are under suspicion, and apparently they're dirty as hell with Daniel Volcaro's mafia. Maybe that already answers your question. My perception is if Bolsonaro had won and been re-elected, this mafia wouldn't have been wiped out. Banco Master wouldn't have been liquidated, and we wouldn't have discovered this fraud so soon. They would have kept on stealing, getting into the structures of the National Congress, the Chamber of Deputies, the Senate, the ministries, as it already was, notably in the Bolsonaro government. And this fraud would not have been stopped. We might not even have discovered the Social Security fraud, and retirees and pensioners would have continued to be robbed. Just like Daniel Volcaro's mafia wouldn't have been stopped. That's my perception. Or is it all just a coincidence? This Bolsonaro's former minister with situations like this involving Daniel Volcaro's mafia, is it a coincidence or is it a consequence? For me, there's nothing coincidental about it. For me, it was all planned. This Bolsonaro movie was made with the intention of becoming a money laundering scheme to receive dirty money. Or not? Well, the ones who will have to confirm or deny all these situations, obviously, are the federal police following an indictment, prosecution by the public prosecutor's office, and due legal process in the Supreme Federal Court. I have my reservations regarding the rapporteur, Andre Mendonça. They're making all this fuss, blah, blah, but after the election is over, they'll collapse. They're trying to put the blame on those who shouldn't be blamed to shield those who are to blame, right, Flavio? And they don't explain anything. Nada. That's why I tell you, Lula has to win a fourth time. And ideally, Lula should win a fourth time in the first round to put an end to all this nonsense. Meanwhile, the Superior Electoral Court will judge. The AI-generated video used there at the convention by the Liberal Party by Flávio Bolsonaro, using Bolsonaro's image and voice, even without his authorization, there at the conventions. The question is this: can artificial intelligence be used or not? Including to lie, because in that AI-generated video, Bolsonaro speaking, Bolsonaro lied, because Bolsonaro said that he's poor, unfortunate, struggling, persecuted, basically, and he had due process, indictment made by the federal police, accusation made by the public prosecutor's office, and due judgment by the first panel of the Supreme Federal Court with full defense and adversarial proceedings guaranteed. So he lied. The question we want answered by the TSE is this: with Andre Mendonça, Vice President of the TSE, and Nunes Marquez, President of the TSE, will it be possible to lie? Will it be possible to make AI videos full of lies? Because if it's allowed, we'll do it too, because they're doing it. The Liberal Party is doing it. Either you get the henhouse in order, or it's going to turn into such a big mess. But so big that the TSE will lose control, unless they only exercise control over the left, right? Because it's already starting to look like that's the case. The right, the far right, will be able to do whatever they want, freedom of speech, and if the progressive and left-wing side even blinks, oops, they're blocked, right, Andrea? They're blocked, can't do live streams, they're blocked, can't speak. That's right, I'll keep an eye on this trial. I'll keep an eye on this trial because I want to know. Look here. The Superior Electoral Court is reviewing an AI-generated video of Jair Bolsonaro and will decide the future of deep fakes in the elections. The Superior Electoral Court is analyzing the Workers' Party's lawsuit against the Liberal Party for using a simulation of the former president at the party convention. The decision will establish the legal limits of artificial intelligence in electoral campaigns in 2024. What will be the limit? What? Limite para quem? About that, or will there be no limit? For whom? When I tell you that we need to engage more, we need to be closer and more prepared. It's not a joke. Our fight is against giants. Giants. Hit the like button, like, comment, and share. Let's engage more and let's talk more. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this situation. I found it interesting. Here, look, in the debate in Ceará, Humano exposes Ciro Gomes' connection with Bolsonaro supporters. Is he staying quiet about Banco Master and Flávio Bolsonaro? She said that to Ciro during the debate. The governor of Ceará reminded everyone that Ciro is supported by and supports the PL, and she got into a clash about public security factions during a debate on TV Band. Gee. My dear ladies and gentlemen. Ciro, right? He has already harshly criticized the Bolsonaro family in every possible way. There are tons of videos of Ciro Gomes calling Flávio Bolsonaro a thief, calling Bolsonaro a thief. And now he's like this. Let's see if he can become governor of Ceará. And he's staying completely silent about Daniel Volcaro's mafia, about Flávio's video. And the guy then really went off. He spoke out. I have a stance. I take a side. And you, one moment you're on one side, the next you're on the other. Are you being supported by Bolsonaro supporters? Do you support Bolsonaro supporters? What happened to you, Ciro? And we really have to ask, what happened to Ciro? How did a guy at first glance as prepared as Ciro get so lost the way he did, guys? That's what my grandmother always used to tell me. My daughter, it's no use just reading, Just studying isn't enough, my daughter. That's good, but you need to have good judgment. You have to be smart with your ideas. What she meant was with your emotions, right? You have to be smart intellectually, Try to study and all that. But you need to have emotional intelligence, control. And from what it seems, Cairo doesn't have it. That's why he's falling into his own trap. And today, he's allied with the Bolsonaro supporter, the same person he criticizes harshly in several videos out there. That's why I always tell you, all of you, my dear, the world doesn't just turn, the world flips over. So be careful. If you're here today, soon you might be over there and then you could fall again. So we have to keep our serenity, humility, and good sense, which is something Ciro isn't showing he has. Look here, okay? And look at what El Mano said. We're on the team that votes for Lula. And you? What? You're being very quiet about the Banco Master and Flávio Bolsonaro accusations. You're the one who has the mutiny's ringleader in the Senate. You're the one who has a Bolsonarist senator who prayed for Lula to die. Have the courage to stand by your political positions. I stand by mine. He fired. He's human. And he's not wrong. No, he's right. What I always tell you is you can be whatever you want to be. But you have to own who you are. You can't be two-faced. You can't be lukewarm or else I'll spit you out. Remember that? It's in the Bible. You have to be hot or cold. You have to take a stand and stick to it. That's it. Whoever wants to be with us is, and whoever doesn't, that's fine. You can be right wing, left wing, centrist. It's all okay. But the guy claimed to be left wing. And now he's allied with Bolsonaro supporters, the same ones he used to criticize harshly. There's not a shred of coherence. That's the truth. And it's really unfortunate, isn't it? Ciro has completely lost his way. Let's take a look at this other story, which is also something we need. And I want to comment on it with you because he already went to social media, Dudu Bananinya, acting like a victim, right? Look here. Caixa is auctioning off Eduardo Bolsonaro's apartment after missed payments. And obviously, Eduardo Bolsonaro went to social media to play the victim, right? He said he didn't pay for his apartment because his accounts are blocked, I don't know what, and that he had no way to pay for the apartment. So how is he living in a 6 million mansion over there in Texas? No, wait, no, let's be serious. How can a guy not be able to pay a monthly apartment payment of 1,000, 2,000 or so if he's living in a mansion worth 6 million reais over there in the United States, in Texas? So obviously he went on social media and said that the problem is he doesn't have access to money, that his accounts are frozen and he can't pay. How is he living in the United States, guys? Who's paying the bill? That's the question that won't go away. And back then, during the live streams, I was already telling you guys, look, you have to follow the money. You have to know who's funding it. It's Eduardo Bolsonaro. Then we'll be able to unravel the whole criminal organization. And by all indications, it's Daniel Volcaro's money. The money stolen from Daniel Volcaro that's funding Eduardo Bolsonaro. Because they don't provide any accounting. The money, 61 million that we know of, not to mention other situations that may arise. It went to the Havergate Fund, which is also from Texas, where Eduardo is living. And who's responsible for the fund? It's Eduardo Bolsonaro's lawyer. And suddenly, an audio of Flávio Bolsonaro demanding money from Daniel Volcaro here in Brazil leaks. Dude, it couldn't be clearer than that. There's no way. And up until now, they haven't provided any accounting for anything. They said they'd provide the accounting next week, but now it's been 90 days without any accounting. For the movie, a movie has accounts, it has accounting. There's an accountant, there's financial reporting, how much came in, how much was spent, how much was paid, how much wasn't paid, how much was received. Where's the accounting? No one shows up with that. I think now we can understand why Eduardo Bolsonaro, at the beginning of 2025, in March 2025, went to the United States, abandoning his position as a federal deputy, a salary of almost 50,000 reais, to go to the United States. It wasn't to defend Brazil. It wasn't about defense at all. It was to live off a lot of money that's supporting him, including the house he lives in today, worth 6 million reais. And the money, by all indications, is money stolen from Daniel Bocaro's mafia that Flavio stayed to collect and he stayed to receive in the United States. If that's not it, then why haven't they accounted for it until now? And Flavio is going to be massacred in the debates. Bats. And it won't be just by Lula either. It will even be by the other right-wingers there. He will be crushed. And until then, other things will also be revealed, and we want to know. Right? So put it there, Lula Tetra. Here, you don't get away with that here. See, it doesn't work here. Only with the sheep who don't even think anymore. Not here. Here it's Lula Tetra. Smash that like button. Type it there. We are the resistance. More than ever. Keep that in your heart. And it's Lula Tetra. No one is going to win through backroom maneuvering here. And Trump, mind your own business. Take care of your people, your land, because they need it. Here, you're not going to butt in. Hit the like button, like, comment, and share. I'll be back soon. Kisses, we are the resistance. Subtitles. Yeah, do you want me to? Do you? Yeah, are you crying on the live stream? Screw you. Sit down and learn. Cry, you sheep. Submarine.